As you all walk out of the tavern, you see a line of people coming from the center of the village. As you move towards the front of the line, you see what people seem to be lining up for. There are a couple of tables that appear to be collecting coin from the villagers. As you ask what this is for, someone responds with, it's tribute day today. Once a month, we all need to give tribute so the dragon doesn't come and destroy us. The general store owner, he's brave enough now to go and deliver the payment for us, and as long as we keep paying, we have nothing to worry about. Hello, and welcome to Tuna's Tales. On this Pondering Monsters, we'll be covering an age-old classic, Bandits. For this one, I will be using both the Bandit Captain and normal Bandit stat blocks. And as their stat block says, they can be any non-lawful alignment. I think a self-serving, chaotic neutral fits them well for this encounter, but you can set them to whatever you feel is appropriate for your game. That being said, enough with the pleasantries. Let's get our hands dirty. This is intended to be more of a roleplay encounter for the majority of it, with the potential for combat towards the end. The main focus is getting the party to figure out what exactly is going on in this village that they find themselves in. On the surface, it looks like the villagers have to pay a tribute of some sort because there's a dragon that will attack them if they don't. They freely give this payment to one person in the town who's just the head of the general store and doesn't seem to mind visiting this dragon every so often. Sounds kind of fishy if you ask me. Of course, what's really going on here is that this shopkeeper and his workers are all actually bandits, with the shopkeeper being their leader. They've set up a long con for this village where they collect tribute every month to deliver to a nearby blue dragon to prevent it from attacking the town. Since the dragon doesn't know how much is actually collected before tribute is delivered, the shopkeeper takes some off the top for him and his, without the villagers knowing, of course. As a result of his bravery and the overall goods and services he provides for the town, he's quite beloved by the townsfolk, and rumor has it he might be thinking of running for mayor soon as well. The catch here? There is no blue dragon. These bandits have rigged things up for a cushy job within the village and have managed to pull one over on the villagers. Except, if your party asks about this dragon, all the villagers they talk to have actually seen one.
Oh, I remember that day. Not a cloud in sight. Suddenly, out of nowhere, lightning's crashing around us. Set some houses on fire, it did. Some of the people on the edge of town, they say they saw a huge blue-horned creature moving through the trees and shooting lightning. Next day, the shopkeeper decided that he should go and try to talk to this creature for some reason. He said he speaks Draconic, and since he makes his living making deals, it seems like he'd be qualified enough. Our crazy fool makes it back to town, not a scratch on him, and tells us he's fixed the whole thing. Now, we just need to pay what we can every month, and we're safe.
They remembered the sighting no more than a year and some change ago, like it was yesterday. The blue form, the horns, the lightning that it was shooting from its mouth. Then, the shopkeeper left the town the next day to see if he could broker some peace. He speaks Draconic, of course. When he returned, he told the village all they had to do is give what they can every month to appease this creature's wrath. In return, the dragon has agreed to keep the surrounding land safe and to not attack the village. This extra layer is all a part of the plan. The bandits have found a creature that they've roped into this whole thing. They've convinced it that it's a blue dragon, or at the very least that it should act like a blue dragon, and as long as it fits the bill, it can have a horde of its own. The villagers, depending on your setting, probably haven't seen a blue dragon before and have no problem buying that this creature is one. But just what kind of creature is it? Well, I'll be saving that for the next video. For now, what questions do we need to answer to make running this as smooth as possible? So, we have bandits in a village pulling a scam using the villagers' fears, all while making off like a, well, bandit. Just what do we need to watch out for with this? Well, this encounter sort of starts off as a mystery, which means we need to have some answers to what will probably be pretty common questions the party may ask. These can be things like, how long has this been going on, / when was the dragon last seen? When did the shopkeeper arrive, and how long has he been in the village? What direction did the dragon come from, and where was the shopkeeper when this was all happening? What does the current leadership of the village think about all this, and what if the party doesn't take the hook? There are probably more, but these are a good starting point to have answers for, so let's answer them. How long has this been going on, or when was the dragon last seen? This needs to be a decent length of time, such that people have normalized it by now, but not so long ago that someone else couldn't have done something about it already. I'd recommend about a year at most and 6 months at least. As for when the dragon was last seen, if you really want to be blunt that something's off here, then say that it hasn't been seen since. If you want to drag out the questioning a little longer, then say that someone in the village saw it a few weeks ago in the woods nearby. If you then want to use that person to give more of a description to your party as to what this creature is, well, I think that's a great idea. When did the shopkeeper arrive, or how long has he been in the village? To further drive home the oddity of this situation, and since the shopkeeper really is a bandit, the answer to this could be not that long before the dragon showed up. Maybe a couple months, half a year, something like that. If you want to, feel free to look into the idea that the bandits came to this village to set up a black market originally, but then they found this creature and shifted their focus after some time. Either way, the bandits were working on infiltrating the village before the creature showed up. What direction did the dragon come from, or where was the shopkeeper during this sighting? This one may come up because your party may start thinking that the shopkeeper is the dragon, which would be a fun twist, but it's kind of been done before and we want to keep them on their toes. As for the actual answer here, really, the dragon came from any direction out of the village that makes sense in your world. Ideally, if there's a forest, then in that direction. As for the shopkeeper, if you don't want to string your party along with the whole, "he's the dragon," then he was in the middle of town and several people saw him. What does the leadership of the village think about all this? Depending on the politics of your world, this encounter may not make the most sense. If there's a lord that's in charge of the lands, they may not like having their tax money go to a dragon. However, if this dragon is promising to protect the lands in exchange for, well, a single village paying the guard force of any and all towns, settlements, etc., then it isn't that bad a deal. But whatever your setting is, and however kingdom leadership and politics are in your games, I recommend taking some time to think through the implications of this in your world from the lens of what would make this work. Maybe the bandits are paying off the leadership, or maybe the village is too small for the leadership to really care about this. Either way, it's a good thought exercise, and if you're into world building, it could spark some interesting ideas. And finally, what if the party doesn't take the hook? This is not as big a deal as it may seem at first. If they don't take the hook, just move on for now. Then, when you've got nothing better to do, take some time to think about how this would progress in your world. Do things end up backfiring on the bandits naturally? Maybe a real blue dragon hears about this imposter and wants to set the record straight. Or the bandits get bored and move on to bigger waters. If the party doesn't take the hook, that's okay. Things can progress without them, and they may just have a bigger issue further on down the line because of it. From here on out, though, I'll be assuming that they do take the hook. Now, with some of the common pain points addressed, what does this look like if we put it all together? As you all exit the tavern to go about your business, you see the villagers appear to be all lined up. The line extends all the way from the center of the village, and as you ask what's going on, you get the answer.
It's tribute day. Every month we're going to pay tribute, else the dragon will attack us.
This all gets kicked off when your party sees the scenario I just described. If they start asking around, people will point them to the shopkeeper as the organizer for all of this, and if the party talks to him, then they can learn whatever info you feel necessary for them to know. At the end of any interaction with the villagers, the shopkeeper, or his employees, the party should be suspicious. Assuming they take the hook and want to play the hero, then at the very least some of the party should want to go and investigate this dragon. It shouldn't be too hard to do on their own, but they will be advised against it from the disguised bandits in the town. Worst case here, the bandits see that the party isn't going to let up, so they agree to let the party join them in the delivery of the tribute. They should use this opportunity to either ambush the party in the woods, or lead them to the creature for it to deal with them. You can say that the bandit camp and cave that they are hiding the creature in is as far away from the town as you see fit. Once the party gets there, though, they should see that it's surrounded by a well-equipped bandit camp that will fight them. This is where the combat comes in. Bandits on their own don't stand much of a chance against a party of 5 level 5 characters unless you're using large numbers. So I guess it's a good thing they've been well supplied from a certain local shopkeeper and have had time to set up a nice solid base. You can let your party attempt to talk their way in if they really want to, but if you do so, the DCs should be a little higher than average, like around DC 15 at level 5. To me, it makes more sense that the shopkeeper, the bandit leader, would have told his underlings to just remove anyone that gets too close that isn't in the bandit group. But it's your game. For this leg of the encounter, I've created this map of the bandits camp, and it can be found down in the description. If you want to challenge even a low-level party, you'll want to use the terrain to your advantage here. These bandits should have at least half cover from everything, are only able to be attacked at range or with spells, and melee characters should have a hard time getting close enough to be effective. Meanwhile, the bandits are on the walls, taking ranged shots at the party as they try to approach. If anyone gets over the walls or gets in, they're going to be immediately focused on by all the bandits that can see them until they drop. This will let you use less bandits, but still pose a threat to the party. Traps, pitfalls, and the like surrounding the walls aren't a bad idea either. Using all of this, you should be able to run a successful combat with as few as 10 bandits rather than the 15 that is recommended for an easy fight by the CR calculators. Though with that many enemies, the action economy is going to be really against your party. If the party is successful and gets inside the bandit camp after dealing with the bandits, they should be able to spot the big open cave at the back of the camp that looks like a lair of some sort. What's in there, you ask? For that, you're going to have to check out my next video, as that's where I'll be covering just what the bandits have found and what it is that the villagers saw that night. For now, though, let's take a look at how to make this more difficult for higher levels. Scaling here can get a little tedious as bandits are already a low CR to start with, and at some point adding more creatures just bogs things down due to the numbers. The easiest changes would be to upgrade the bandit's light crossbow with a more powerful crossbow, or swap some bandits for bandit captains. Make sure to give them crossbows too. You could also boost up the AC or hit points, like I usually suggest, or at the higher levels, start giving them siege weaponry like a ballista that they can fire at the party as they rush towards the walls. If you're looking for the stats for a ballista, page 255 of the Dungeon Master's Guide has that. At party levels much higher than 10, sad to say, you're probably not going to be able to challenge them with just the bandits. You could add in some other creatures that the bandits are using as guards or mounts to help raise the difficulty, things like guard drakes from Volo's Guide to Monsters, but that still may not be enough. Just because that's the case, though, doesn't mean you can't run this. Sometimes even powerful characters need an easy win. Plus, what's in the cave might be worse. And with that, you should be able to run a slightly out of the ordinary bandit encounter. The party gets a good chance at role-playing things to uncover some sort of mystery, and then get rewarded with combat when they figure things out. In the next video, I'll be covering what's in the cave and what your party can do about it. If you're excited to see what's in store, then subscribe and do that thing with the bell so that you can get notified when it goes up. If you liked this encounter or have feedback from running it at your table, leave a like and let me know in the comments below. Thanks for letting me talk at you all, and until next time, keep pondering.